Check, check, check. We'll begin with the prayers before teachings, followed by the prayer nectar for the mind. Taping shar China. The new song. The new taping you na kiraya mambo
mambo go yori akoswa. Takpar nimarela pache tangsum mishiko yori.
Ken mende.
Ngakyo yori. Chokyon yo mar kirangag yorwa. Kongana tego mare. Shansar watan chochang chapatan jisoi. Kurjang sorwa ye gewa chonzai daki chipsarpa. Tamche daki chanchup jirmo saji buju yugan meto tamara langji nirde tam guru rana mandra
Mandala
konarya
Konarya
me semje
Simjanam
namji
Ji
sambadang
Sambadang
loye chepta chetavar chejong tomo tabar Chuji korlo korto sor. That's supplication of
Now the supplication for the key points of mind training, nectar of the mind.
Cheji yonten konjin yoni tangcho gevi shilan doto tapa samji lorgye tapar jepsan lami shenji loge tamjo nyeka jiglar kipi limdi lantor zorjen zonchang chuma ngim ngondro jongwar jepsan lami shenji loge zonzan deme yangsu jante darjan derdu ton len samu Shangju semni tato gombar jepsan lami shenji loge Kenga dungar chetar chongyang tangza gombu churton toni Shangju semji lamto kervar jepsan lami shenji loge Samjur takpi tsotsoi drepjan molama damji tonga dambi sechi nyamlin nyampo terwa jepsan lami shenji Chukun dangzin nyimbo chajang ransama huangto yedi dangki Garken tamche lamto longwar jepsan lami shengi loki Kilan tonden zerchu tangter Shori me per ngon sen chungu lojong tamse chojin chongwa jepsan lami shengi loke dornai changche semni berbi labsha tamche tsurja lopi Sendere tangcho zopa topar jepsan lami shenji loke nyamet chowo yapti tuche tonsan dandan lojong zorla nyani mombi lakshi dikyan Dokon changche topar khochi nam khatam nyambe semshin tamchi ki tondo tande laname payang topar zopi sangji ki kompang rambo che topar sha tip shirto tambe chukang sanni to nyam sar langwar gyor nyam tu sambab shang chukto tukke badang chu nyambe Kuntuk shopa nam janglang tor manjura ki teksan sar Telandar kanjik sambar shawi chu kirimba ne shangchub sankhui Norun chongwa jib shawan danyin chapar shepa la Tomar gewa laki ton warta gewa zhontun Tamar gewa mjukton yopi nani ta zhontun mshapi kabre Di nani tani ngaji kontu song zanni Tani terang ke kapsa wapa ne Morga mechang san druk met zesa tani mandwa
Rồi. Tông xem cái gì là.
야, 호텔에 보레스.
No, xem gen gi xem ni chung wei chier. So batang she pang sha jing.
호텔에 보레. 요 테오레.
Think, in order to bring all sentient beings equal to the extent of space to unsurpassed ultimate happiness, I will attain the authentic and perfect, precious state of awakening. To accomplish that, I will listen to this sublime Dharma, and then I will practice its meaning. In this way, please cultivate the motivation of the supreme aspiration of bodhicitta and adopt the proper conduct for receiving Dharma as the means to listen to these teachings. The teachings that we're listening to today are a Bodhisattva's garland of jewels, and this text has the beginning, the main part, and the conclusion, and we're currently in the main body of the teaching, and we're at the words on page 4 where it says, in order to protect others' peace of mind, do not quarrel, and always be patient and forbearing. Also?
다더니 너니마 양기 샘의 종이실 소바 탐치 방샤장 딱두조 땅담버샤 송독 되니 다장기 샘의 종이실 지바데 공도 지티 송포 마르와다 초니르 온좀 방샤장 딱든 좀장 니버 딱두 잔땅 통이제 세르나메장 진라가 딱든 작도 광와르샤 장기 샘의 종이실 소바담이 야 대독 탐쳤던 문입샤나 장기 샘 종이체도 소오레 되니 가주 너니 마음 가레송 근두제나 답셔던 그 탁바침부 냠린간 되니 탁바침부 추라 육니 데라 냠림셴칸직 있나 데 고랑라요 루당 낙당 옙 som보라 쇼파케르당직 요리 되니 달 탁바침부 람데 두딱도 아주 화고고야 찍라는 람코랑고 ngo는 세와 매장 지와인 바당 되니 잔란 세와 phong 맞네 두딱도 잔라 판딱고 그요 바데 대 하장 그 쳔보 쳐거래 딥셔나 다 나츠 두딱도 랑그 룽르이섬 그 쇼름 탐치도 잡잡 시니 가도 있나요 되니 랑랑 소소 다 멋창 그나라 요나요 자 되니 실록고 뭐 나바 임바동 냠도 있나요 다 나바 문바동 냠도 있나요 자다 가도 있나요 되니 랑그 룽르이섬 보텔라 대 잡잡 시니 시고와테 까쳔보레스 가르레제나네 되니 대 랑랑 소수 장기 셈도 중국어로 또 냠는 그 작직래 잔섬 중우자데 또 가르레제나네 잔락 노파먼로와치 구고요 아주 장기 셈 중우스 랑그 되니 남규 돈땅땅 루그 남규 돈땅땅 ngakar kacha sha tang tang deni sem ki samlo tang tang tham chi ki goni kyang na jan la de no pa man ro wa chi de ha chang kar chen bo yo re de tak par de zab zab che gu khyo re ti chen na dir ni kap so yang nga chu de ta wu jan ki sem ta tong yi thap de ma phya ni ro gyo re kha chang gong du sha pa cha chang yang de ni jan sem tong yi thap re o de ri re
So as we look at all of these lines, when we encounter people to speak peacefully and in ways that is like what can be well received by them, and to give without stinginess, and to avoid jealousy, and all of these things. Really, when we look at these are conduct, with our body and our speech, and all of them are for the purpose of protecting others' minds, just as this current verse, these current words that we've arrived at in the text. And so, regardless of the placement of the words, in order to protect others' peace of mind or well-being, then all these sections here that we're looking at are then relating to how we conduct ourselves in the world, with our spiritual path being the basis of how we engage and what we do. And so, as practitioners here, we're looking at practitioners according to the Mahayana. And so we've entered into the Mahayana path, and we're practicing the cultivation of these qualities. And then that implementation of the cultivation of qualities is thereby expressed in our conduct, how we conduct ourselves with our body, how we conduct ourselves with our speech, and how we conduct ourselves in our own thoughts. And so then the Mahayana is a path whose essence is defined as being the peaceful path of harmlessness. And the refraining from engaging in harm is not just merely not causing harm to others, but in addition to that, benefiting them. And so this is the actual goal of the path, the goal is to benefit beings. And that's why we practice the path. And so as we practice then and are cultivating and developing our mind, then that also includes how we conduct ourselves physically and verbally, and that there's always a sense of carefulness, that what we're doing is to benefit those around us in our home, the people that we live with, our household, and so forth, and also outside of that, regardless of who they are, what spiritual tradition they practice, and what their circumstances are in relation to everyone. We have a carefulness of our body and a carefulness that we bring to our speech, and that is to protect others, to guard others. And so the goal of benefiting others as the aim of the path is also expressed in the conduct as we cultivate the path. That we're always being careful to refrain from harmful actions. And then on top of that, not only that, but in addition, to do what we can to be of benefit to others. And that means the way that we express ourselves physically, our facial expressions and demeanor. It means the way that we express ourselves verbally, in our mannerisms of speech and the words that we choose. And so it's thoughtful. There's a reflective kind of thoughtfulness that we bring to our actions to ensure that we're not harming others, and that on top of that we're benefiting others, which is the kind of very basis of what the Mahayana path is. And so we're receiving all these different kind of disparate gems of advice here, and then in different circumstances, different ways in which then we don't cause harm to others, down to our facial expressions, and then the words which we speak, and the way in which we speak them, and so forth. And so then all of it ultimately is to protect the minds of others. Also.
So this morning, when I come into this temple, and you guys a little bit changed, different. You guys changed a little bit than yesterday. So fast. You so, how do I say? You are so nice this morning. Hi, Rinpoche. Hi. 야. 드디래 되니 양기 셈의 종이시 조바 탐제 방샤시. 단데레 되니 잔섬 종을 샤위 셔터는 조바 탐제 방샤장. 단데 데 트래픽 챔버에 등원이 샤나. 가레제나 셔땅 경이 흠마케는 돌아지기 유인. 아메리키 록torla. 드제아지 요래. I don't care 제 요래. 잠비 가립 삼합삼 뱅이 쇼파 가립 셰삼나. 대비는 로게인. 성가라 바드르시나 시마시 밋. 되니 머장기 가립 삼나요. 삼합삼 밋. 되니 ngang 거 가립 삼나 때 나오신 로게인 제한다고 아메리카라티 걔랑도티 랍토 징독. That's their problem. 제기요래. That's their problem. 때 말에 더 노르와레 제기요래. 오야. 티 딥션난데 때랑 디낭라 랩송아. Jamki semna tongu yusherze, zopa tamchezena tan tukpa gyawya tezo fangzereta, tuk chikpu marwa. Tani kong yinang janki sem tongwa te, shangchu senhui derno tezu nangla mangpo songore. Janki sem tongni, janla kontrol malangwa chiktang, janki tani sem mentukpa chiktang. When a nyamlen kanchik yinang, janki very weird, strange, very strange dawo, tani ha lipi kem tsawore samyan dawo maimpa. 오야 되니 실당 그 상가 잠바당 냠보 임바치크 로고 거래 쇼름 차상 되니 직좀 고랑 로르당래 디고니 양키 셈네 종 유셔스 어때레 어든지 제키오레스
So, in order to protect other people's minds, and so then here this is really kind of a big topic. And in American culture, there is this kind of attitude of sort of like independence in which then we think, I don't care what others think. And it's like our personal freedom, that we do whatever we want, and that's our freedom or our right to do that, whether it bothers someone else's mind or not. And this is expressed in expressions like those culturally, or then the expression, that's their problem. To have that, and I've heard these expressions a lot.
Yeah, I don't care.
I don't care.
Wow.
And that's their problem. But from a practitioner's perspective, this is a complete error on our part. So when it says to let go of disagreements or not to quarrel, this isn't just where you literally disagree about something, but it's a general attitude that we bring of wanting to protect others' minds. Protect others' minds meaning that we don't do things that disturb others, that create or generate anger in others, or make others uncomfortable, or cause obstacles to others' inspiration to do practice. And so then it actually means we have a great care in how we conduct ourselves, because we're always concerned with the welfare of others and how our actions affect others, because there's no way around the fact that our actions affect others. And then this is actually guarding others' minds is the supreme way in which ultimately we're guarding our own mind. What's actually taking place is a protection of our own mind through protecting others, because of the care and attention and value that we place upon that, and how we work with our mind to, refrain from, like, all kinds of actions. Like, sometimes practitioners engage in all kinds of strange actions. The nyamlen nyamsuling kendenso ketsarbo yimba. These are just ketsarbo nyamlen or chupa.
No. Yeah, chupa weird.
So like where we just behave like very weirdly. When like around other, like for example in our community, like in the sangha. And so there's actually a value to, you're going to hate this term, conforming to the ways in which the kind of general group conducts themselves, so that it's in harmony with those around us.
홍군대 송후요랬다. 그룹
So
근날란도나
he says
가르시
when we're, in a
합샤
group,
테키오로
this is
와
advice for
리카블라
like,
테리.
when we're in
홍고.
a group with many
능아
people,
총거랑랑
then
소소란디뇨다
that we're
숑그레
in
캬투.
harmony with that
갈레갈레 따다.
group.
가완도나 양들이
And
송후요래.
you can
지안기 셈공올라 몹대완다고 멍법숑 뜨거래. 라나 소수쇼팔라 땐니.
And so then
잡잡시
it
구겨.
means that we always have a care, that there's a real care and carefulness to our actions and how we conduct ourselves, because there are so many ways in which we can disturb and upset others. And so this is a part of and a large component of the practice, because after all, what is the purpose of our practice? To benefit others. Also.
대송을 했더니 탁바 전부 냠는 간 상첩 생화 옛나는 니버트더니 잔당들 고요래 등이 것만 랍인 탁바 전부 상첩 생화 남네 샤와마와 돈마와 송어래 노르위나 말 상첩 생화 노르디나라 때리 송어래 샤와마와 돈마와 가르레제나 랑또 짱짱 접고요 말다 샤와마보리세 오야 때니 가르레제나 잔라 록밥시야 그 샤와마보 고고요래 tani tondak namba na tsokpa mapo dumka yore. Shawa mawa, ton mawa zena, lika rawa shawa. Lots of actions.
And
ton mawa zena, tani lika namtang rigmandawa mapo.
Okay,
Rokpap sheya, yes, tani mapo ko, tani yin no song. Nyan tu yin na shawa nyongwa, ton nyongwa ze. Koso takpa kakari, takpa mambi lugla tenti re. Oya, ti gemsan ki tani 상습 생활 탐체 뚜딱도 질라 첨보 요리 뚜딱도 삼천그 돈라 록밥시 키요리 때 나초 차창마 때다고 샴바다 냥지 람때 냠스 랭칸 그 강석래 때 나샤와 마보 드고 키요리 삼삼랑이 등아랑 삼노래다 계랑수 아메리카라 탁천 그 냠는 간 인경 kerangrang sosola lika yakpo yodna yang samsamla lo oto chongchong yin tatong lo mangpo la lika li tabko yodna yang retired she gagdwa ngin samsam te samlo tang yore ngoni lo oto chembo chegni matapa khakare ma to koma rang lika ta pe ma te bi yakpo re jan la ro pa she yate when manje bi na mamba yin na gergin yin na 가래 옛날 결혼 리카 리피 고르갑지 카르송 역보지 잔라 록밥셰야지 탁친 글루글라 삼로 땅나 냠랭 간 샹추 생화 남로 삼로 땅나 તપે 역보지 તડી 리카 역보 રખયો 마 리캅셰사 당차치 요로 바 결혼라 리캅셰사 그 고르갑 역보지 요래 언들이 다오레 데니 nga tak to sam tedi je ko kaki ka ngi retiring shake yo zena ngi wise yo ngi semlan de khar ke ore ngoni nyamlen shina yakpo yore lika kare jina what to do then ti jila kar she gore odedi da ore teni teni yimbi shena na ta ngi kar je gore jina jan tam derwa chi she go khore tab shang su sam khi rol kre 디 칼라 tani ta karshe gore zena janki semna tongo khore esri tani topa thamche fam sha jang tak to zo tang dam bar sha zeni ta ti nangla ten thukpa ma bo yong gore kha ge zo ya yang chik bo yang mare tani ko zo chi nga zu kha ge chik zo pa ya ya chik bo yang ma yin pa na tani te tan da man da phan chong chik chik la no pa nam ba na zo pa yong chik ge wa o tani ge tani thuk so cha chang ze ke ore thukpa ma bo ya ya te zo cha chang 탐치 방샤장 송래 쪼바 탐치 방샤장 딱도 조당 담버 샤세 다 나초 갭종 그 추지제 지고 상지금 노그나 노르데그나 때 약보지 요래 셰위 란라 하르 먹시에 와세 대당 찍리 회나 버잔 기랑년 락셰셰 당니 측만다만다 랍나 디란라 파르 먹시에 와다 초위 공초위 란라 하르 머초와다 데니 덕비 란라 하르 머덕바다 Teni sangam ruwi lan la laram sangam ruwa mumruwa. Gyonju che ruwa. Te la laram sangam ruwa ze. Undindi ke shanga chusan we dernot ke nang la te yore. Karte der tartup shina koyang gyonchen de nga choyang gyonchen chak. Nika gyonchen chak sore. Te maap shina rangi tambi ngansur yimba khori yo mara. Kyang ke yore. Nga cho kepsang ra gore. Pok lama jamgun sarkya panti ta, sarkya maha panti ta, kuipa chenpo chiki yore, kongo song chiki yore. Di nangla karik song re ze na, lombo chirt, kuipa chirtar tab duk kyang lombo jukpi la mandro se yore. Hoi na lo khirab to dambing kuipa chiki yen na. Kache mamba kache ke nyogda mambo da tab duk po chiki nangla lona yang. Lombo te chu lam lan rog ma re ze. When the lombo hero menkan ke kangsak nan ki tak ken ngambe oktol hona pe nyam rowa tang chatang nyam rowa yorwa. O ti lam nan rog ma re ze. Ti kem nan deso gyang go khore, deso gyang na hirap ke go khore. Rong ka karib she go ha ko yorwa. Tu la wa piknik kam na. Rong ni hirap yore. Ka tu yin nan dina la kong ka Ati shaka songwa te so pe mahtad pi lakcha yak ponduwa. Katu yin na yo chok chok dawo. True mambo yong kanga lakcha chong chong chok kaki ket ni rogo nduwa. Ti ngo la naif yore, ti ngo la suzur yore, drama na chok yong kanchi chatang yore ti ngo nduwa. Onde namshin jing nduwa. Katu guna nga tso yo panda onde gyang na. De hirap ko goni tani rang ha ko yore. Maung pan dar tawo chi mo jamba la tugna. Rani ti lam kan ro gowi gemsan yo marwa. Rani tambi psho pate nyam manyam na dik yore. Tambi nga tsor khor nyin yo mar. O tidi shi ni tso pa tham cher fang mar pshi ni ne. Tak to zo tang dambar psha ze tani geb jong chu ji goni. Nyam nam she kores tani.
Zupi, Tsenyi Shena.
Yeah, te ka le psha. Thank you, your command.
So when we look at the Bodhisattva vehicle called the Mahayana, it's entirely associated with others and the welfare of others. And because of that, the Bodhisattva vehicle of the Mahayana is considered to be then one with many actions and many different kinds of activities or goals. And so in the sutras of the Bodhisattvas, it explains because this vehicle's aim is not for our own benefit alone, then it involves many actions. And so then lots of actions for the welfare of others and many different goals, many different kinds of actions with the aim to benefit in numerous ways, in a variety, a vast range of ways. The Shravaka approach of the universal vehicle, Hinayana, is one that it has few activities and few aims. And so those who are drawn toward that path and practice that, then it's a different approach. It's a completely different approach. The Bodhisattva path is one that involves many activities because how else are we benefiting others? And so if we're training in this path and we're cultivating our inner qualities of love and compassion and so forth, then that expands our actions to benefit others and the scope and range and the variety of how those actions are implemented. Sometimes Rinpoche said, and this is just my own kind of personal thought, then there are many Mahayana practitioners, and they kind of have a goal, like in terms of their work, that they can retire early. Like they're still young and they have plenty of energy and capacity to keep working, but they want to retire early.
이 개는 돌란데라
And so I'm always saying,
샹첩 생회 몰람 대소 따다.
look at the Bodhisattva aspiration prayers.
되니
'Cause
gergin
in
gona
the
gergin
future,
ni
may I become whatever people need. If they need a teacher, may I be a teacher. If they need a nurse, may I be a nurse. If they need a doctor, may I be a doctor, and so forth. And so then, like, may I, have the work, the activity that helps others. And so many practitioners actually have jobs that help others. They're teachers, they're nurses, they're doctors, they're therapists, and so forth. So the Mahayana, the purpose is to benefit others. And so sometimes I think, like, why would you retire? And when people say they want to retire early, and whenever people tell me they want to retire, I'm like, why? Because what are you going to do after that?
I know you're not going to do more practice after that. Okay? That's your answer, but that's not really. Okay? I know that's not happening.
And so if that's the case, Rinpoche said, then why not keep working? Because this path essentially, then, you see it as a practice. Because retiring from a job that benefits others is almost like, well, I'm tired of benefiting others. I'm done helping others. But then, that work that we've done is something that we've been trained in. We're educated in that, and we have lots of experience in that, and we actually have the skill set, when we're in that retirement range, to actually effectively benefit others through those methods that we have. And, really, so many people, there are so many others that don't have the skill sets to do what we do. If we look, like right now, at the younger generations and so forth, a lot of them, don't have that education and so forth, don't even have jobs.
I said, then I can say that too. I'm not going to teaching the next year, so I'm retiring. I'm retired next year. You say no, yeah? Yeah, then I tell you, don't stop benefit other people.
So anyhow, Rinpoche said it's just my kind of thought. But essentially, the path of the Mahayana is based on others and helping others with whatever skills and capacities we have. And the training in the Mahayana is generating greater and greater capacity to benefit others. And implementing that in our actions is that we're guarding the minds of others. And so it says, let go of disputes. Don't hold to extreme sides where we're arguing or having disagreements and so forth. Find a mutual agreement. Find harmony. And do so with the goal of not disturbing the minds of others as the very kind of aim for the actions that you choose to take. And then to not become disturbed by others, to always cultivate patient forbearance. In the sutras, then there are 4 sort of virtuous dharmas or activities associated with this. They say, when scolded, do not scold in return. When someone else is angry at you, you do not become angry in return. When someone else hits you, don't hit them in return. When someone else speaks about your flaws, don't speak about their flaws in return. These are the 4 activities, sort of what are called the 4 virtuous trainings of a bodhisattva. Because if the other person is behaving badly, scolds, hits, speaks about your flaws, gets angry at you, and then you then return that and you become angry and scold or hit or speak about their flaws, then now you're both equally flawed. There's no excuse. It doesn't make you better. You're as flawed as they are. It's equal. There's nothing to gain from that. There's no profit from that. And so in this regard, one of the great Tibetan masters, Sakya Mahapandita, he was speaking about that, and he said, "Tap dukpos in a like kyangamba double."
Yeah, God said
As learned as you are, then no matter what kinds of difficulties arise, don't become like a fool. So what that means is, if learned means we have the wisdom for these qualities and for working with our mind. And then so no matter how difficult the situation is, don't then become a fool, meaning then just buy into it. Don't, so as learned as someone is how much they do not go into a fool's path. And so then a fool, meaning like where they lose it under unfavorable circumstances and then create then worse. Someone who doesn't have the wisdom that understands the methods for working with their mind, that doesn't have that wisdom, that completely lacks it and is just completely controlled by the circumstances. That's what he's speaking about. So when the circumstances are unfavorable and things aren't good, if we have a wisdom, we shouldn't become foolish and then engage in response to that in kind to the circumstance in ordinary ways. We have the wisdom. We have the knowledge of the means for guarding our minds and for guarding others' minds. Why would we enter into a path of foolishness? And so in this way, then, when we look at all these pieces of advice that Atisha has given us, these gems of advice, each and every one of these is a tool. And you'll find that in any given unfavorable circumstances, that one of them will apply to that situation, one or more. It's like a multi-tool. So we can think of this text as a multi-tool. A multi-tool it has your knife and scissors and all the other gadgets that you might need in any circumstance. So if something gets broken or goes wrong, you can fix it. If we spend time studying this text, you'll find that it's like a multi-tool, that this advice, you're constantly needing it. And so once you have it in your hand, then you can use it. And there are always circumstances in which you can use this advice. And by doing so, then the wisdom that you have of having studied this, of knowing this information, this knowledge, then enables you to not lose this profound and meaningful path and its purpose. And that's why then we always want to be practicing patient forbearance. Awesome.
Tani takto zo tangdan bar sha songro wa zo pa ji pa te korang ngo des jan ki ken la teni sem thuk mon ro wa te kar sem thuk ro jena kar jena rang ka zo matap ni sem ge la nyumong pa ma pu sem thuk song na te la teni je khio mare teni zo pa je te tir dokshok su kirwi nyamning ki ngor kirwi zo pa te ngo yore sem men thuk pa te o teni da wore te la na teni khwe na zo jan phan shang chip ki sem ki go ni zopa gom tang tang yang na hirip ki goni zopa gom tang te mambo yore zopa gom tang tendi ke zopa tang dam ba she gu kre jibiton de tere yena tani dir ni kaptela ta mala trawa mambo yore de zo kar rezena khwena mechi ke shawa ngam ba tak par te she khyo na tani tela nga chu lan she na de khyo marwe zena te mare roni tongyi thaphi kare yo na she gure 옛나양 tani the mergevi sem ki goni maimpa when kontro go goni tong tap sina tani rang ni yek pochi tani sem nyumong pi wang ta mandwa yenna yorwi goni tong go khyor paror pu yorwa pshawa te kak tap shek go khyor yenna khorang la paror pola nyarje gum go khyor khu pshawa kak tap shek go khyor paror pu sem nyumong pi wang tan ro 코랑 균 망부 왕도 로교 바 하고고 그래. 데니 가수 콘솔 압조파 당치피 고니 데니 콘수 요르바 카탑라보 요나 데니 셰코레. 옛나 대학 데니 라닉 조피 냠len 당치피 고니 랑크 셈 냠무 거와. 오 데니 레제 딱도 조당 담버 샤스.
And so here in this final line, it says, always cultivate patient forbearance. And so then patient forbearance means, its essence means that regardless of what someone else may do, that our mind remains profoundly undisturbed. So patience in this tradition doesn't mean we're upset about something and we don't express it and we manage to hold like our whatever, we manage to hold it together and not lose it. Patience means your mind isn't disturbed in the first place, that you're able to practice in relation to that unfavorable circumstance and you don't get angry. That's what patience is. It doesn't mean you're suppressing it, like you are angry, but you're denying it or you're pushing it down so that you don't express it externally. So lots of people, like, they get angry and then they hide it, and you can't see. So that's not patience. And then one day that will come out, and you will that will express itself. So that one day it will be exposed. Patience means you engage in practice in relation to that circumstance. You use the skillful methods and tools that you have, and then you manage to calm the mind so that it doesn't become disturbed when facing the adversity. And ideally, right when it begins, like right when the anger, right when you start to be upset about something, then you recognize that, okay, this is arising. And then the second step is you apply any and all of your practices and trainings to that you need. In the 7 key points of mind training, you might recall the example to clean out the butter lamp cup while it's still hot. So the butter lamp cup, once the light goes out, if the oil hardens, and then it's very, very difficult to clean. So if you have like actual butter in a candle, that will happen. So then the idea is as soon as a butter lamp goes out, as the light goes out, then you clean it out with a rag, and then it doesn't get hard and stuck. And so same ways with our emotions, to work with them the moment they arise. So the butter lamp, as soon as the light goes out, starts to get cold. And then while it's still soft, while it's still malleable, and it's easy to clean, that's the time when you clean it. So you don't want to make a mistake. And so then the same with when the disturbing emotions are first arising, that's the time to work with them. The ideal time is the moment they start to occur. And then we apply our methods. We apply the practice of bodhicitta or the trainings of prajna, profound wisdom, or whatever other meditation techniques we have, and thereby then don't become so disturbed or upset. We have patient forbearance. And so in general then, and remember, this is you have to use your intelligence. Oftentimes people think, well, does that mean that when someone else is engaging in harmful actions that I just don't do anything, that I can't take action? So then that question often comes up. So we don't want to misunderstand these trainings. Patient forbearance means you engage in methods to protect your mind so that you don't become disturbed, but that doesn't mean don't take action. We do need to take actions to benefit beings, but we don't have to take them out of anger, out of our disturbing emotions and afflictions. So in terms of our mind, then we practice and train with our mind to be undisturbed, to be patient, to be tolerant. Then in terms of taking action, we see if there are actions that we can take. And we look if there are any methods that we can engage in which will effectively prevent others from causing harm, from engaging in really negative or harmful actions. And then if we can, then we take those. If we find a way that will actually be effective, then we take those methods, but we do so out of compassion and love for the, perceived harm doer. We do so then recognizing that, like, the compassion of seeing how they're under the power of disturbing emotions and creating harm and so forth. And then with that patience, with that tolerance, we engage in methods. We find whatever methods we can, if there are any, to take action. So practice doesn't mean don't take action. It never says that. Don't take that second step in your mind. When it says cultivate patient forbearance, it means, use the methods to not become disturbed. But then, of course, in our conduct, then whatever ways we can benefit others, and that does include taking action to prevent harmful actions from taking place in the world as best we can, but always with the mind that is undisturbed, a patient or tolerant mind. That's all.
오야 ngorga mechang sanro me tak tu zonu te parshase. Tatere ngorga mechang sanro me tak tu zonu te parshase. Tande karchembo pere yang tela per pochik sondu. Ngorga mechang sanro me ze tonda ni ore. ngorga mechang zenandere ta. When sam samlanga tsundedi ze kyoreta. When mela kerang nguni nyangni korang la tsewa tang tani sem korang ka nyangni sam ka mena yang pe matepe tani ngola tani topa mambo shekapshet. Rong terang chikpula reta. When nyimak chikla kerang pe topa shekapshini tani kyo pere kyo dabu yakpo ching zambu lang la menduk zekapshini. You are amazing zekapshini. Tani ka korang la parur bu ngola tani tani gargapshe yandabu shekyo pandabu ti yore. Ti mala ngorgapshe zekyore. Tani ti ngorgapshe ya tangna sandruk sheya niki tondak chik dawo chakdo kore.
Oh, laso.
Kare tondak chik zena rivu chik dawo chakdo kore. Kare zena ngorgapshe zena tatangi la panamshin tere mala tadipshi ni damanda kaga yakpo shakapshe kyore. 카가 역보직 시작하시키요 바 드립시키요래 드니 드니 문이 주sem나니 때 드니 삼카요 말해 오케이 삼나 카카레 더 먹카히라 먹차차마 드리 코람 삼카메나 드리 ngorgap시엔둥 간직 요래 ngor가마포 쉣 때 가립 송거래 제나 당보 때니 뭐뭐 개랑다 때진 덤보 나오지 용특해요. 옛나 갈래 하고로나 그 가능이 라외한다고 셈말에 상 하고요래. 개랑 그 가능이 콘솔 랍게 오빠 남신 중문이 삼게요 말에. 개랑 그 삼바 남신 직 중문이 삼게요 말에. 디말라 ngor가제래. 또 when 무치 ngor가만 보다도 그 당보 초 덤보라고 마보 용거래 강삼 찍라 마보 멈터사 책도 그래. 가르진 초하고로 그래. 다시 그 딱par때 랍기요래서. 또 문이 말해서. 때 때려와 아메리카 가서 볼라때 마보요래. 니 희게요. 니 자캅 니나요 요래. When the mugjantan rupi ni kabra ngaso nyam to teni rupi ni kamna tendi ku ngorga mapo shi ni ngorga mapo kachapshan dugna yakpo yo mares to lower kup sam lower kyu tedi chak yore nyimak chikla tuzo tong la kyu tedi chak yore ke ngoni kyo te mare o tedi yore te chik res.
So continuing with this scattering of advice, then another piece of advice is to not falsely flatter people, false flattery as the first, and I don't know what the second one is yet, how to translate that. So then this is where we don't genuinely feel this towards others. It's not coming from like a genuineness and warmth where we're, praising them, but we praise them with false flattery. Like we praise them in lots of ways because then, we think that we'll get something out of it. It's not genuine. It's just false flattery. And the thing about false flattery, about sort of praising people to their face when we don't mean it, is that at first it may, make us well liked and sort of serve our purpose, but over time it becomes obvious to others that it's ingenuine.
당보 뭐뭐 교티님
So at
덤보라고
first,
체크래
people will
교들이
like
남나
you and
토히히요
you
말에
say all these nice things and you
갈래
flatter them
갈래
to their
하고
face.
놓으요래
But eventually your true character will be known to them. And so they'll see that it's not genuine, that it's sort of like fake flattery, false flattery. And then then it begins to become a source of problems. And so this may be something that you have in various arenas of American culture. Rinpoche said in Tibet, it's definitely an issue where people provide like false flattery that's sort of self-serving and ultimately not beneficial. And eventually becomes known. So maybe like you're saying nice things to them to their face, but behind their backs, then you're engaging in deleterious actions, things that would harm them, and be the opposite of flattering. And so then this, for a short time, it might serve a purpose, but in the long term, it's harmful. And so it says, don't engage in false flattery. Also.
강삼직라 교역보 나나고 찔러 마송이 하고서
Also.
더니 강삼직라 뭐대주 딱 버들이 랍고 그래서 교래
So then eventually everyone, they don't trust you. They'll think, oh, this person is ingenuine.
인genui잖아 그딱 버들이 랍고 그래서
He is always saying these kinds of things.
People saying
ingenuine
he's
Trongbo Mare Rinpoche.
저새끼요 말해
The konzo zun like ngune gitopa Mare is ingenuine.
저새끼 너 그딱 버들이 랍고 그래서 교래 뭐지암비 교람 통tek 말이지만이 교라더니 지금 여보직 저거요 말 너나 때려와
So basically, then it won't.
강삼식라 담보 역독하고래
It might
더니
seem very
갈래 요 말.
nice in the beginning of friendships and relationships, but in the long term, then it will cause you to be sort of disregarded. People will just be like, oh, this person always says those things. But she said, I'm not talking about being friendly when you see people and saying, hi, how are you?
Hi, how are you?
Like
are you
those
okay?
kinds
These
of general
things,
niceties.
Do you need something or these kind of things as general?
Not that. That's just, general, like, friendliness. But like, then there are people who then with the people that they're around, that they're companions and so forth, then say all kinds of flattering things to their face, but what's happening underneath is not that. If it's true, if it's a genuine, like kind mind and appreciative mind, and then they're sharing the appreciation, then that's one thing. But here it says, don't provide false flattery.
Muxarwala. Tape matapi Garland. Muxarwala lamsang tropo chikdo. They yakpo yo mares. Ha lipi tropo no chikdo. When Naksandok. Kale tago kyore nika tambo troko mapshi ze mar go mapsuk ze ke yo mar ta mukha ki tendi re ezere khoso teni nyang ba te cho korang ge troko na nyang ba te cho la tendi ge za chenbo mersem kan tang sarwa kyang la teni pe troko yo pa san trok ze nam dorna Trubok sarwak tani yang ngami yuk yang sarwak tani yang jima yuk doba teze kyore.
Also.
Te sanga chikna tani yona pe matapi kak kemsa wora when na tampo cho halo ze cha chamala hagab shet da yang do hagab shet pe matapi ko kare na samdu wanda wo chik shet. Te she rwa ta. 당보 투빈도 당보 살아임비니 감니짱 하 리파치 파치 루당 낙당 이 삼보데 데락 딱 소한다고직 드니 이치반다고직 신이 노고요레스 드니 영 지마요 말레스 교 차창 드니 말와 영 냠니 도그레스 영 티티 냥와처나 영 요기아레스 조보테 디말락산 독제교 That's a very annoying right there. Uh-huh. It's a really big annoying. Annoying.
Annoying.
Annoying.
And the other annoying thing is I'm not totally sure about how to translate it.
Kare labne kya chu?
Fickle friend. Fickle means, yeah, I guess fickle friend. Changing frequently, especially as regards to one's loyalties or interests. So, lagya mambo nangamage propo lagya dabo chigyamare konzo lamsang gyur, lamsang gyur.
Tere ngi tse te tang yagi ni kim ribu chik pa da ore. Te ten da u kang sak te la lower trobo da o tang yit wan da o ji check kare kare jina cha chang wa sa gyug ni na tani ta kang so haging shi ni tani pe lo mang bo go trobo yin sa rip sam da wo sarwa te cholap shek yore. yin na yang kyu ti ti nyam to na 교육 그래. 어떤 다우 말라 막산 독전 제기어래. That's a really bad one. Actually, I don't like that one.
So, here then in the Tibetan they say it's basically someone who's always seeking new friends and doesn't maintain long-term friendships. So then when they're like very fast to become friends with people. And so then where they just like jump into friendships and it's like they're best buddies immediately, like very quickly, very close. But then they're fickle about that. Then it changes. So it's not to say don't create new friendships. And here in the Tibetan, the word is new friendships, literally. But the meaning is like someone who's always seeking new friendships and not maintaining long-term friendships, long-term relationships. And so then this doesn't mean don't make new friends, but it also, when we make new friends, it's good to go slowly and, with discernment and develop relationships over time where you develop a trust and reliability and so forth. But many people, then there are some people who constantly are seeking out new friends and dumping their old friends. And so they don't maintain long-term friendships. And this has many kind of pitfalls. And so it's like, don't be a fickle friend. Don't always seek out new friendships and kind of like get rid of the old. And sometimes you see this in Sangha too. People come in and they're like really friendly and they immediately get close with everyone. They're like besties right off the bat and really like appear as if they're super close to them. But then later on, they're not friends with any of those people and then they're on to the next new person and the next new person.
What's happening?
And then it's like confusing for people. Like, what's happening? Because it was like they thought they were close, and then suddenly that person's like gone. And so Rinpoche said, this is very annoying. And so do you have this in America as well? This is, yeah. What? Oh, yeah. Konso ghosting zerane tangbo tropo daboche dene je madrawa met and it lanyang tab gimen fickle friendships, but then we don't have any long-term sort of friendships like relationships. And it has a lot of the deleterious effects. So actually, falsely flattering people or always seeking new friendships in a fickle manner and not maintaining long-term friendships, both of these have the same result. Initially, then when we give a lot of false flattery or we become fast friends, then initially, then it seems like we're having friendships and long kind of reliable relationships. But then those are constantly changing, and eventually then we don't have deep and meaningful friendships and companions. And so the long-term result is the same. And there are various sort of deleterious or negative effects and impacts on being like this. And so it says, don't falsely flatter people and don't be a fickle friend.
딱도 존노 터퍼샤제 티티티리 따테레 드니 가르셰 고레나 딱도 축터 빠치 고레세
Yeah. That's all.
오야 티마라 딱도 존노 터퍼샤제
And so be continuously steadfast and reliable. So rather than the previous two examples of saying what should we do that's of most kind of value and benefit is being reliable and being stable and being there for our friendships and so forth. So
드니 사르와 남라 역보셰 고레나 딱퍼셰 고레
of course, then that doesn't mean we're not nice or friendly with new people. That obviously doesn't fit in a bodhisattva's conduct either. We're cultivating a kind heart, and so we express that with everyone, whether we know them long-term or not.
tani te korang te gugyo tu takto tani pe mata pa
so
kang yek
Always to have a kind heart and to always try to help others, and that includes people that we are newly acquainted with and so forth. So of course, then always cultivating that.
kubi tsukirni persha songdoga de dina lepswa janla tani khwer chgjna nga chu te mkhsarwa inna yang nga chu cham cham la kyoksarwa re je ni nip chu shen kan yor yore te rig yo mares okay korang kang inna cha chang nga chu da tani nang la yak po chi chut gu yore ko janla nip chu tang chi margawa da wo tang tadi chi she yore ta te chawa ni ni rig yo mar lu chi go ni ngak go ni kari yin kyang na nga chu cha chang nyam tu yin ba da wo chi serving ma cha chang tam nyam bo yin ba da wo chi nga chu nyam bo ma di nang la kyo tani sarwa re je chi tang tani jamba tham che te nyangwa re je chi ki chapar mabshe ni tani tham che nyam to nang la yek po chi shugri mabshe je ka re tam dor na te di go ni jan la ni pa mabshe ni tani ko la kuba ki chur ki technique go re je te mak sarwa man na ma se yin na ya nip chu shet marong wa tang na tani tu tak to ga chu lu ta ngak go ni kujep ta wo she go wa kar chem bo re es thak par te tani nga cho kar lab go re te ta ma na pa kar gi na da tani ma gingo kar gi na da ta nga cho te ma bo yo re jikten ki kham la na ma te chu sem te shogri chen ta nip chu shen kan ka sem chi yo re nga cho tani khasang ma tham cha la ngar get chi yo ro wa ti go ni jan la nip chu chi le bi yong yo re tani maim pa na tani jan la cha chang ma te la nga cho muk chi kyu yim bi ndu hi dang 상가이 na 상각 직결 연비 너희 종니 오탐 첼라 드리그 대 남념시니 구바피에 고그레 집이 돈들 오마 나초 랍당 찍어래 고마 남라 when 윤단당 드리그 고마 결용 가이나 콘솔라 고마 남라 쿠르힘 간직 드니 warma nam tang kho tang nyambur tak par nduk yong kan te tang nyam tang nduk demo chik konsola sambo mo so wa konsola teni tab dewo yimba tu tak to tedi ke tab de da wo chik nduk demo yimba chik teni oma nam la yang chung hi ba chik rang ko rok pa she go sa tang sik tedi ona te chong tab hi go ni chung hi kan ondedi da wo chik go khyo so ne tak to zo no to par jan la ni bar kubi chik ni bar sha so do.
And then it says, don't put people down or belittle them, and always be respectful towards everyone. So to disparage someone, I guess, with the colloquial would be something like, don't put them down. And so then this actually is sort of the opposite side of the coin. So it's first we're looking at not like having false flattery and not being fickle, always like seeking out new friendships. But now here, it's like, but if someone's new, don't be like, oh, you're new, and then act like they're not part of the group or they're not as important as other people and so forth because they're new. So in this way, then the way that we kind of benefit others is that physically and verbally we treat everyone equal. So it's not like then oh you're new here, and then they're unequal to like those who are older here who have been coming for a long time. Like here then it's not to create biases or preferences in which we value each other as lesser or more than.
네 상지 그
Unequally.
구두라고 있나?
At the time of the Buddha, Shakyamuni,
호막사르와 지 용나?
when a new student would come into the community,
대라 덕보 ям칸 그 요래.
then there would
믹스리오.
actually people like would be assigned to like be a supportive
덕보
companion
yap더니
and to
콘소 가래
welcome
구호요
them
땀칸더니
and make sure
콘소
that they
믹스를
had
깡땅
all their
깡구호요.
needs met and that they were,
then
you
you-
know, comfortable
콘소
and
빼깡 텁텁 그 나라
and
약보지.
really like would help
나라
them
용도
settle
비약가.
and become kind of
then you
comfortable
차차
and
대요래.
familiar and so forth.
더니 대잡고 사지리
This is
가래지는
something to be
참삼나
really careful
샘남바
of
매나요.
because sometimes we don't have bad intentions.
요 말할 때 옛나요.
But
더니 코랑 쌀와
Then,
홍와티
you know,
샘
when
거나라.
someone is new,
도르당 트랙하면
then we
누구라고
don't really
책도
pay much
버려.
attention to them.
나라 도르당 트랙하면 누구 싸면다고.
And so then,
가지나 음미 족보
because
때도
we have, you know,
냠듯이.
our other older friends and close relationships that we're,
대냠듯이
you know, we'd like
쳇도
to be
육구요
with.
말다.
It's not that you're purposely keeping them out and being cliquish necessarily, but you're not really concerned about the new people and their experience and not really paying attention. And so, you know, especially here, like as Sangha, then and there's like so many, there's a group here, but there's also so many of you. And so then anytime there's a group that, you know, meets and gets together, then it's important that when someone new comes, that they, you know, we're thinking about them and we make sure that they're comfortable and welcomed and they feel equal to everyone else in the group, to speak with them, to check in with them, even because even if we don't have a bad intention for them, we might just be like act closely with those that we already know for a long time, and then we don't really speak with them or say anything. And so then they feel like they're outside the group or unwelcome. They're not feeling sort of embraced. And so then it's important that we give an equal importance to everyone. And so in the Buddhist tradition, there are no biases. Everyone is welcome. There's no differences in our ethnicities, in our skin colors, in our power, our status, in our age, in our sex, male or female or other. There's none of that whatsoever. There aren't like biases. If we are biased, that's our own individual flaw. That's not the flaw of the Dharma. That's not the Buddha Dharma's flaw. That's the individual's own mind's flaw. And so then, you know, all of this advice is advice that pertains to us. And so then if someone's like new, then we don't put them down like, oh, you're the new person. And then sort of, you know, to always make them feel welcome, and especially in Sangha situations, to feel a part of the group, equally important to everyone that's there and welcome and so forth. Here I have just, you know, something that I want to say.
Okay. 차상 약보 어레제나 인나 때 장은 요래. 뭐 코랑 그 먹지제 그래. 다 먹지. 먹지 약보 잔지 요래. 때 하리 그 같이 뭐래. 먹지 약보 잔세때. 코 먹지 약보 잔세때 코랑 뜨니 나르게르당 뜨니 그 첨보 맹칸. 윤튼 지점 요짱 나르게르당 뜨니 맹칸. 몸 톰보 마모 스직 있나양 냠보당 스당 있나 룩 데모 임바 탐첼라 판섬 역보지 샘나라 용컨거 던디 그 멋지거 던직던 그 루라양 가르쳔보 인 송어래 디 먹집 상호자한테 추 그냥 연던 그 직던 직인 송어래 직던 그 연던 그 짐바 맞았 직던 그 연지 그러봐 먹지 역보자한테 대니 묵담보 임바 딱저 축노 덮어샤 송도가 묵담보 임바 묵삼밥 상호 임바 대니 착톡 당나 대니 나르게땅 대니 멘컨 먹시 상호 전 대니 지 요래 거라 먹시 상호 자 지고 뜻배 가르쳔보 지래 회나가 주중 가기 나는 덕송어래 먹시 상호 자땅 답하니까 냠도 지고 그래다 슈라 김슨 히피 답하다 먹시 상호 니까 pe karchemborese hali karchemborese jikten shirtang gwang tu samlo tangna mgjib zang po ta tapali kyang karchende songre kare jena mumang po tela teni yongore karte kerang la tapa yona mgjing amba chanchiginna chu katsem khipa yen kyang hwenan de ri nge kyang zo hwe bya gewi shimning khahi ka khorang mgjib zang wo man bi gem chanki 휴니오 바당 코랑냠랭 관 연경 뭐망보 지스랑 요 말. 가르지는 코 먹지라 껴노래. 뭐라 돈 희요 말. 코 먹지 돈 희요 말. 미 추적 가기 장게 둑단다. 콩빼 먹지 역보용 kan 가기니 장게요. nga yam charko jimbar nga to nyam to dowi kabla. Tendi mayakpo ndruk dewo. Ngargertang kontro mepa. 착톡 맥배 마트비 먼잠보 일라 시브상 보인간 판섬 용간 정모 인간 먹시 남바지긴나네 stubborn 다 아메리카 뭐뭐 stubborn 다레다 다 직하나 뜻이 먹시 남비나 랍지나 might be a little bit too much for you. Ta yenna yang tani ta ngarger tang thak tok tang tani jan la nip chu den doga jan la nip chu chen kan gam ma te chu rik te merji yak po yo mar tham la nga po chong chong bir ni kam nang i gom nyong yo ma bo la ma te 직직직라 직추바 역보용 사마레고 담머지 역보요 마레 제가요리 고 머지 역보치요나 빼 추바 역보치요리 어디리레
So here, just as a side note, then having a good personality, good character, that's the word I'm looking for. Having good character.
I think I like that.
That's a good one. Mishi Zangbo. Having good character is actually a very important point. And so some people then, in general, don't have very good character. And others just naturally have good character. But good character is then someone that is not arrogant. No matter how many positive qualities they cultivate and have, they're not arrogant. They're never proud. And they don't treat people unequally, like people who have status and are important, so to speak, quote unquote. Then they're not treating them as better, and then people who don't have status or importance, quote unquote, then they treat them as lesser than. But who really treat everyone equally as valuable. And
it's okay.
not quite the perfect translation.
So 톰보라 툭나야 디셈란 로모직
Like they, if they meet someone who's
냠보직 툭나야
of high
디셈나야
status,
로모직
they have a nice demeanor and feeling
디
way
강사
of
때
being with
수인나
them.
셈란
And they meet
로모직
someone without status, they have a
뭐
nice and
수직
easy way of being with them. Meaning that no matter who they're with, they're the
뭐
same. They're
뜨리지
an
그래,
easy
맞아.
companion. They
맞아,
have a
그래서.
kind heart and wish to benefit everyone.
아, 회나가서 찍바직 찍나?
For example, if we make a wall,
야, 도그 찍바직
okay,
찍나?
with rocks,
And then is
stones.
도그 나란 라면다 요러봐.
There's all different types of stones.
카키 역보 찍고 가와비나 데모.
And,
찍바 찍비니까나 도카키 가와 찍나야 역보.
there are some stones that no matter where you put them in the wall, they work.
가와 있는
And they fit everywhere.
가와
They're
있는 도.
easy to fit in all the different spaces. And then there are some stones that are not easy to fit into the wall. Like no matter where you put it, it's sort of awkward.
Only maybe
placement.
somewhere in the side or somewhere. Teni dawo matomon rogo yo mat.
And so then they only work in very specific situations. So someone with good character is able to sort of get along with everyone and under all different kinds of circumstances. They're easy companions in that way. And then when we look at this, not only is that valuable in a worldly way, but it's also really valuable in the Dharma and in our practice of the path. It's considered sort of like an ornament to the Dharma. And so then good character also means their value system, they're stable, they're reliable, they have a kind heart, they don't have a lot of jealousies towards others, they don't have a lot of pride and arrogance, superiority towards others. And so all of these qualities are what we call good character. And good character is actually very important. And so the practitioners with the most potential have two qualities, good character and faith. Faith based on logic and reasoning and so forth. These two are very important.
I remember now. I remember the good character students in Tibet. Like we have so many, sanghas and students in Tibet. But around the lamas, okay, the teachers around, the students go around the teachers good characters, the more close to them. Because they really like them.
So they tend to be much more likable. Because they're easy to be with. And there's like kind of an ease that sort of permeates all their relationships and circumstances. So basically whatever circumstances or whoever they're with, they can make it work. These also, like we already know, we know this, when you have a group doing work together on a project, then you can see. Like those that are able to work with everyone and it's like easy. And then, their character really is exposed in those kinds of conditions. And so that's what he's talking about here in these two different sets of circumstances that we're looking at in these 4 lines. And so then good character is important and valuable. Both faith and good character are valuable in terms of the Dharma. In a worldly way, then good character is the most important. Faith doesn't really have much to play, much of a role in that. But in a Dharma way, character and faith are both important. If we can have faith and not have a good character, and then it's going to be much more challenging, the whole process. And so then there are sometimes like spiritual teachers, ones who have the education and knowledge of the Dharma and who do a lot of practice, but they don't have good character. So it makes it very hard for them to be able to sort of hold and foster students and for students to follow them. And so then when we...
I remember one teacher. Remember, we went to puja together. Everybody said it. He's a good practitioner, but careful. People saying me careful. I say, why? But you will see it. They said. And then we went to puja, but even he said it, not like same as everyone, every monks. Okay, his character is very different, pretty weird actually. He not fit anybody, like a. Even he said, just say, look,
Do you have people like this?
Yeah. So, yore. So,
good
it's okay.
character then enables one to work with many people in an easeful manner without pride, without anger, without jealousies. And so there's an ease and capacity for being in many different circumstances and around different people. And is really helpful when it comes to practice in the path. So then when we look at like maybe less favorable character, Rinpoche said stubborn. And he says, you're not going to like to hear this. But generally, then when there's a stubbornness, a stuckness, and there's a lot of pride, and then there are envies, and then when there's like putting others down, belittling them, as we're looking at here, and so forth. And when we have bad character, it makes it very difficult and very challenging, not easy to be with, and not easy to work with, and it makes the path and practice more difficult as well. And so in terms of
what you go inside it.
sa,
Sa.
grass,
Yang chiktana. No, not
Sa.
Sa.
salt. Okay, I was like
Kala
salt or
ganda
grass.
yang nyam to tokuyo. Sa.
So salt is a thing that can go in, an ingredient that can go in all food.
Very
It
important.
gets along with every meal.
Chatanglam topor.
So like that, it'd be like salt. We do like teachers when they're the lamas in Tibet and they have young disciples like children that they're sort of raising in the Dharma and stuff. They can tell, they're like, oh yeah, this one has a good character. They're gonna have a lot greater kind of ease and success in practicing the Dharma. And then these ones not such good character, it's going to be difficult. And so, they've had lots of experience, with students and stuff like that. And so then good character is important. And so putting here, as we're looking at this advice, it's about cultivating that value system of the importance of good character. And on the one hand, then how to be a good friend here, no false flattery, not fickle, and to be steadfast and reliable. And on the other, then when it comes to, for example, new people, not to put them down. And then when others are in disadvantaged circumstances, not to belittle them. And so then if they're sick or feeble or drastically aging and so forth, then sometimes, in the world there's a disregard that happens towards different individuals when they're sort of in disadvantaged circumstances and biases that happen. And again, that kind of pride where we think we're superior for whatever reason. And so also someone with just as a step out of this for a second, someone with good character is also someone that is kare. I was Mishizambo kare. Kare song.
Oh.
I was saying something else and I missed that adjective.
Oh, I forgot too.
Sorry. Two things happening at once. So anyhow, so here then don't disparage or belittle others and always be respectful towards everyone. And so then regardless of status, position, age, circumstances, then to have a general respect towards all human, for example, like human beings. We're all human beings. And in this regard, we actually truly have sort of equal status, and no matter what the circumstance. And so to respect everyone equally is very important. And so, and to have that general kind of system. And so then they say towards those who are kongmanam lo gembole or nganso yuntenle cheware kongmanam kandechik.
It's okay, you should. That's
Okay.
not
Lasa.
I love me. I love
Lasa.
you should.
Okay. Anyhow, just to be respectful towards everyone. Lasa?
Yeah, okay. So, today, Kamundala Mapa, or Tere, Jala Damage. Okay, Teni Kubitsu Kirni Parchas, Janla Damage Pizze, Nyonje Pansum Dambar Sha. Zeni, Tanda Janla Damage Pizze, Tablama Chiginan, Janla Gauchim Chigina, Chusha Kiore, Deantoni, Norde Mapunala Sonre, Chusha Pirni Kamna, Janki Kormukare Tradion, Samni, Dev Samlo Tawatang, Janki. Kukurchik topi chetang, nyepa topi chetang, nyantak topi chetang, top korsa topi cheto, tsawani ni shat manyan song. Oya teni tetawu chinina, teni korang sem nyangje chimbu go ni shat go song ren di ni kamnang tere. Jan la shamba tang nyangji go ni jan la pansem chik go ni. Oya ti go ni shat go se. Tere, te mayin pina ramjing genjikten glugla ina, kwe na nga tso mampo yorwa, kwe na nga tso machik la damgapshe pazena chik ngatsu hopso nangya ndawo yorwa America la yang tadi mampo yorwa jana hopso nangya mampo yore wena rang pogula yin na yang da rang trokbo la yin na da rang patience da yin na yang da te chola katu teni hapsha tang teni nangwi kaptela ta semsama yingo kre zekyore jana damgapshe pitses oya teni nyongji semtang dambarcha jana chik Shag Gukona, Jan teni dungar tang tran teni Jan dungar li tar gukyore, paru pote. Teli dungar li tarui tabla ni gukyore, paru pote, teni lamlan ju gukyore. Di chetu shekyo pipshernana, nga tsu semyana, teni goni sangma pe, shinim zongna, ta jan la pantok chenpo chik yungre zere. Ngi gimbar kerang solap shakyo pate, shamba tang nyarje zeyi pansam zeyate, tap samjima kyapa, Reze nguni trangni hal lipa chik machik semnang la yodna di nupate sam ki makya pares di huayna nyangje thangma chik kipi semnang la nguni zammo chik shongna di nupate rang la pantok pa mazat jan la yang pantok tandi chenpore 어떤이 res nyangji pansam dambar shaso
When giving advice to others, do so with a compassionate wish to benefit them and do not slander the Dharma. So, for example, then if this were a qualified spiritual teacher giving instructions on the Dharma, then oral instructions on the Dharma in the sutras, it says when teaching, when giving advice in this way, in the form of teachings, don't do so for personal gain, for your own status, or for financial gain, or for fame, or reputation, and so forth, but then out of the compassionate wish to benefit them, out of genuine loving kindness and compassion. And in other circumstances, when giving advice to others, for example, in worldly ways, we advise each other, we advise our children, we advise our friends and family. If we're in a medical practice of any kind, mental or physical, we advise our patients, we give advice. And so then when we're giving advice, that we do so out of a pure heart that genuinely wants that person to be free from suffering and to find true freedom from suffering. And then our advice is based on that. And it comes from that genuine place that they could then, be on a path that leads them to freedom from suffering. So we have a real, genuine, and pure heart toward them. Just the wish to be of genuine benefit to them. And so anytime we give advice to others, then ideally it comes from a place of love and compassion. And when we do so, the deeper and more genuine that love and compassion, the more powerful that advice is, the greater power to effect that it has. The power of these qualities present, of our mind actually being loving and compassionate in actuality and then acting out of that, is inconceivable. Even one time to have a profound, deeply compassionate wish that comes from our mind can have an enormous impact on our mind and power to affect both ourselves and others. And so if we want to talk about magnifying or increasing our capacity to benefit others when we advise or help them, then the kind of most powerful component is the genuineness of our love and compassion for them, that we truly wish to be a benefit to them. Also.
So the kwena ta kolong tami goni sheku shipiton te
So
tere.
essentially that we have a pure motivation.
Ngi tanghen do ngama nga dawe na larong ngi thomo maim bi tsai lama ngoma te ta lama yibjino ro re. Teni khong nga cho lok chi lang khambo mabo chik larong garni nga chong khambo thun re. Teni yibjino ro kalok nang song pe ngi ta tong sem kana la tu tak to zong namyang jet ma ta pachik yo re ti nyin la khong garek song song zena teni kerang to ta larong gar ka teni khambun san soro res teni ta maung pa na kerang tu te maung pa chu shet ko res chu shet pi ni kap te la zo top tang kor sa tang yu long shok ke chet tang rong ke nyan tak ke chet tang teni ke chet la muchi ke tsawa ni sam la tedi sam chawa zamyang sam thap ke mar se na kombore ta yenna ya zowo te di chet de chu sha ya o te song khyo re di chet de chu di chet to kerang su maung pa na ngi kerang to la kambu ngak sor shi ni maung pa kerang su chu shat pi kap la zowo te ta wu kol hong zong ni chu sha kyo bi gem sang ka re zowo jan la pan sam ge chet to maim par jikten geluk drupi chet to zowo shi ni chu zowo main jikten geluk drupi ya te zowo ke su shi song na nga kha song na ya tani khong ka tani mik kerang to la ta gin song song I thought there's something happening there. Muni song song. Tengi
Di kirang kempo chung sungwe lo dire? Okay, yeah.
Ti kap la se ko na so ma po nyam su kap.
I was just surprised at where it went. So I remember the year that I became a Kempo, my own most close root guru, His Holiness Jigme Punsok Rinpoche Yezhin Norbu. Then that year there were several he had given Kempo names to. And I'll never forget the advice that he gave that day. And so that day, there was that year to all of us, he said, I have given you recognition of the Kempo degree from Larong Gar. And the purpose is for you in the future, is for you to teach the Dharma. But then to teach the Dharma motivated out of your own betterment, out of your for your status, for your financial means, your wealth and possessions, for your title, for a fame, then it's very rare that one has zero of any kind of these motivating factors. But then that they can be as minimal as possible, that we really hold this intention, this pure intention here as our reason for giving Dharma instructions. Otherwise, if your purpose is for those other aims, and then when you are teaching in the future, it's not truly for the benefit of others. No, I'm not. I know.
She didn't say very good way.
No, I didn't. The chetu, di chetu kembo jagres, di chetu zena karegi chetu, ke subject songyo mare. Di jempengi chetu. No, chu sheba ge chetu. Di chetu kembo ming ngaso re, then he jempen member jikten the group sovo chena.
The karere zenana when you teaching Dharma, your main purpose is only you seeking your own gain, your own fame, and your own position. If you do that, not a main focus, teaching main purpose is Dharma, and then even after I die,
I'll be
I'm going
watching
to
you.
watching on you. So
that's what he said.
So
I'll never forget that my whole life.
That's
just the same as being spoken about here. When giving advice to others, do so with a compassionate wish to benefit them.
You understand? Okay.
Chula korwa dapme chadi dan yamtu drogandu or lapcha jambare. Kakare. Okay.
Nyangje pansum dambarshasi. Dani tatak jantum shietsurva. Chula korwa damsha kamundalan dambarshas. It's very important. This another jewel here. Chula korwa damshas. Kare rezena when ta chu nampi chu de do ta ngak chu. Deni zong te gipa mandawa mampo. Ta namayina pola so yori, tangsang ina zambu lang lang rog yori. Ta gipa ndraman na so pan rog yori. Ta khwen na nga so di nabshok ku jar kap te chu na la samlo ta na janang ni jit yung wi na chu. Pod ni jit shung wi na tan na chu. Deni khwen na nga so phagi Thailand tang, Japan tang, kasaka ni teni yung gore, khwen na teni mampo yoris. Ti kap tela teni chu mampo chiyo na damka kante chini pshe gukyores. Karipshi ha damka karipshi pshe gukdus. Karipshi ni damka pshe gukdus. Ta ti kapla karip samkyore zena na chu jamba thamshela kora tsawani ni dapnyin kamares. Tata nampi luk manna teli jangbi luk tur tram tha nam la yang nampi luk la chuluk jamba la kora tap dikhe omar. Kyo duk ti luk tur ta dukcha re zeni. Sam shoko me so the nampi chu na la yore. Nampi chula mixer yang teni pe nipa chembo yore teni chuluk jambala nampi chu jun mampo yore te chola korap tamna chula korap tab mapsha aze korap map tab zek yore. Yang mampu ngi luk tang chu luk se. tadi fini rang jen fini shogri fini tadi jamba te yakpo yo mar ngam chok te kirpa rezeni o tadi fini yong te kre khwe na nga chu tang sang zambu lang la yang tadi tigzuk daw nge yang sam sam ti thong khdo oya chulu jamba yakpo yo mar ze korap ta ban dawo tang tani rang glu khona te yakpo yo re ze tani dawo ze khdo yong kan tani yore tani mjong munyen morongwa mare mjong kre garden sosu kewo ze ti semla shogri ma po yore deep sherna mai lene je ze ka che chig yore tani jamba ka der ze ka ni nga chu rang tang jan kha chedni tani rang shogla chakpa tang jan shog ku chulugla dangwa yore tani chedni ka mandu usong re chula korak dam sha
So di
janbi lugla gareb shek gore zenana kubab shek go zer tadi jambi lugni tang lakcha tang tadi yakpo yo na tatsen rang gub gyang ni ne tezo tsilenya yo na dik re zer yenna ya zo kang re zena kang mun dolan dom bar sha ze te rang kang muna wena rang ni gare yenna rang ni ku mu ba kang la chong song wa de ta te rang so kam tang mu ba wang bu kha yo re 카키 냠미 줄라 무그레 카키 겔피 줄라 무 카키 사르캬데 카키 꽈르게데 카키 옛나 때니 회난 자판 글룩트롤라 무팔라 소파 용그레세 때니 람 차창 마창 까차요 마르시탄 람 차창 보고요레 람 쇼그레 와탄 람 셰프탁와 지크 역본도 톰그 요 마르데 옛나 잔키 룩라 코랍탑난데 요 마르 팁시나 라니 강라 무바텔라 dombarpsha ase tela taparsha tek zo nyamnem she gukre chibiton ta tere gangmu chigla teni te mche kanglan gopchuk ten royare matom yang teni sanin yagi gir nanin magi gir teni gerwa ma ponda man na chokpa chik tang ni ro dugna yagbo yo mare chere pete lokap git ro te ze ki ore ta when American dawo inna kaki when gargyut pa tang nyangma pa nika yimba dawo yore te cham inna nika nyam shina ndik yore ronin la nika la muba yore te garwa yo mar rang churjin de yakpon ro hina garwa yo mar o tedi re zere kamulan dom bab shina ndik yo songre.
So di kabla chu gitsik de is it chuluk any chuluk or only
No, tada nangbi chuluk.
Kid chuluk.
Ti ngola bjar song jamba ngi zekyo. Nangbi chu maza zekyo. Yeah.
So here then the do not slander do not criticize the teachings doesn't go with the above two things. It goes with the next one. Set your sights on what inspires you the most. And through the 10 forms of Dharma practice, exert yourself in sessions day and night. So it goes with that sentence. So then when we look at the Dharma, there are many approaches of the sutras, of the tantras, and many different lineage of transmissions, of the transmission of those in different ways. And so, initially, then we mostly just experienced having Dharma in Tibet, but these days in the world, there's transmissions that come from all different sources. Like in the West, you have Dharma transmissions that have come from China. You have the Dharma transmissions the lineages that come from Tibet. You have lineages that come from Thailand, Japan, and so forth. So many different lineages in which the Dharma has been transmitted. And so it says, do not slander the Dharma. Set your sights on what inspires you the most. So essentially, then choose the one that is most inspiring to you in terms of your own practice.
Yenna di look de la chu cha chang yong kan yenna ye kare lam cha chang yo na
But ideally of the lam cha chang ma chik.
Yes, control la lam cha chang ma yo pa yenna ye ku re ze.
Yeah, but then whatever lineage or path that we choose, ideally it's the complete path, that it's all there, that we have a sufficient means to practice. So it's not just like a part of a path. For example, like these days in America, you have like Vipassana meditation. And then I'm not saying that's a complete path. that that's the only Dharma to practice. Then, so whatever tradition or lineage that we're doing, practicing, that the whole path is there complete. And then whichever of those that complete paths that inspires us the most. At the same time, we don't slander other lineages, like look down upon them or belittle them because they happen to be not the one that we choose. And so then in general, this reminds us in a more general sense to hear this is specifically speaking about the Buddha Dharma, but in general, then in the Buddhist texts, it said that we shouldn't slander anybody's religion, anyone else's philosophical or religious beliefs, to be respectful to everyone's personal beliefs and systems. And then more specifically within the Dharma, then the different lineage of transmissions of the Dharma, not to slander those, where it's like, well, my tradition is superior to your tradition, where we think of the one that we choose as being the best, the one that we chose, that we're inspired by, and the ones that others choose, that they inspire them, that those are inferior. And so then this kind of attitude is very harmful to the Dharma. And so in general, not to slander anyone's tradition, anyone's religion in a universal way, and then more specifically within the Dharma, than other lineages of transmission. And then to choose the one that we're most inspired by, and of course, then we need to make sure that that's a complete and authentic path, and so forth. And so then sometimes people have these biases that they show. Then, and of course, as ordinary beings, then there's going to be biases where people they slander, the one that's not, the thing that's not for them, and then they think of what's for them, the path or tradition for them, as being superior. That's ordinary beings' minds. We're habituated to having biases and so forth. And so then in the practice, then that is one of the things that we're striving to overcome. And that means in general to be respectful of others' traditions, of others' practices, of others' lineages, or even of others' religions, to respect all of those. And then of course, then you may, and to appreciate when there is good advice that's given in another tradition and so forth, we can appreciate it and we can even adopt it. And so we know how many religions there are around the world, how many philosophies and so forth are practiced. And then always there's this attachment and aversion, where we have an attachment to our beliefs and our traditions, and then we have an aversion to other people's beliefs and other people's traditions.
Okay, now we look
So in the Buddhist tradition, this is not viable. This is not what's practiced, nor is it encouraged. In fact, then where it is encouraged that we learn to overcome those biases, to overcome, then to realize that there's a fault in the attachment and aversion. And then for ourselves, then we choose the one that most inspires us, and then we practice that. And so, for example, within the lineages of the Dharma itself, then we could perhaps some will practice Nyingma, others Gelug, others Sakya, others Kagyu, or perhaps it's Japanese or another lineage. And Dugnicha. And so then not to think that the one that's best for us then is, and have those biases where then we think that it's better than others, and then to slander others. But at the same time, whatever path we choose, then, we focus our life and our practice on accomplishing that, and also not to be kind of fickle about that, where we're changing that, where we constantly change and we jump around from one lineage to another and so forth, but to choose then a path and to stick with it. And there are some lineages which can be compatibly practiced, like there are practitioners that are both Kagyu and Nyingma, they call it Kanying, and so forth. And so we have inspiration for both. There's nothing that's, they don't counteract each other. They're not contradictory to each other.
또
and
메나
so
야그레
forth.
마톤 삼삼라 칸투르
If
용회요.
there
다
were
룩트로 닙시나
contradictions, if the traditions were
룩트로
too
닙시나
different,
용회요.
then then that could be a problem.
약보데
But,
약후이나 룩트로 찍 때문에
So
나 약호요.
generally, that's why it says choose like one tradition, one lineage, and stick with that.
야, thank you.
Okay.
되니 닝콩 랩소.
Now we're at lunchtime
Again.
again.
So